presentation. When they see you, when they see the value in you and in your presentation, they will not, they will pay for it. They won't challenge you. They won't challenge your commission. They won't challenge anything. When they see the value and what's in the table for them and what it means to them, they won't challenge you. In fact, when they don't challenge you is because you've asked them the right questions and you've delivered the right needs to them. So she says, and most importantly, the third one was when they know that it's the consumer, the seller in front of you knows exactly what you're doing for them and when. So she refers to the actual listing presentation as a prospecting, or should I say, a plan, a yearly plan. And that is, you basically are telling them three things. What you're going to deliver, what you're going to be doing, basically, and I wrote it down in my own scenario. What exactly are you going to be doing for them and when? Marketing, what kind of marketing? Postcards, the tour factory, your professional pictures, deliver the flyers. I use e-cards, I use, what is the other one that we use? I forgot the name of it at the moment. We hand deliver flyers and we deliver, email, mail flyers, and then snail mail flyers, and do the e-flyers. In my listing, in my car, I have a binder, so we created, and this I did about 2 years ago, a thin binder, and in it you just have, I have different marketing pieces from different properties, but the intention is to show the consumer, here are the different postcards. Now, you may not do this for every property, but it's good information for them to know so that they can start seeing the value in you. So, good question for you, by show of hands, who recently here has made a big purchase, like a big price tag purchase, maybe $10,000 or more, and you did your homework, you shopped around? You did, okay, so I imagine you wanted to, did you, I don't know, not cross-qualify?
I mean, also, yeah, I went through the whole process.
You did?
Yeah.
You went through the painful presentation?
Well, I mean, through the process of analyzing several deals
Right.
to pick the right one. Right.
Okay, so, the reason why I'm not here today is, or wasn't here, is because I purchased windows for my house. 2.5 years, you guys, took me 2.5 years. Not because I wanted to, but everybody was being challenged with what I wanted to have done, what I envisioned. Everybody was telling me, oh no, it's impossible, or it can't be done, or you have to rip up the whole floor, and I'm like, you're crazy, this can be done. But I had everybody, you name it, Lowe's, Home Depot, different independent contractors, window guys, and everybody kept telling me the same thing. I just wanted to get rid of these hideous things, those half moon windows. I just really wanted to get rid of them. I have 14 of them. I wanted to get rid of them. Anyhow, I called Renewal by Anderson. I got this postcard in the mail. I love seeing the junk that comes in the mail. I really do. Much like Angel and Patty, if you remember, he said, when he was here, he says that he takes his pieces, and if anything that he gets, and he just likes to see what others are doing, and he often integrates pieces here and there into his own market, to find what works. Genius, right? It's really, truly taking risk and finding that what works. Anyhow, I get this marketing piece, look really appealing. I call, set up an appointment. The lady tells me, I have 3 people call me back and confirm the appointment. The third time, I was on my way. I'm just like that, I go, right? So finally, she says, well, presentation's gonna be 90 minutes. And I said, oh, no. I said, I know what I want. There's no need for such a thing. And she insisted. I said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but I'll be late in my office and I'll be there for maybe 30 minutes. And so finally, the appointment comes, right? The guy gets in, and we're at the kitchen table, and he says, I said, well, first of all, before you get started, I'm in sales just like you are. And he went, his whole body just went. And I said, I just didn't want to waste his time. I wanted to get to it. I know what I wanted. I'm the consumer. I know what I wanted. I didn't want the whole story. So I said to him, I said, look, because I know what I want, I just need to know what is it going to cost, what do you have to offer, and what's the difference between US's windows and everybody else. This guy did his job because he showed me everything that they had to do. I know more about windows than I ever cared to know. I really do, honestly. But then he showed me the material and the difference in different brands. And then we walked around my house in some windows and he showed me the difference between the defects and the major flaws and the things that we need to be concerned about the materials not only used in those windows, but how they defeat the purpose of the energy efficiency that they label on the window. You know, and then went on to bring a heating now that heated like 200 and some degrees within seconds. And he put it up against the glass of my kitchen window through the outside, and then I touched it in the inside, and I couldn't hold it for more than 2 seconds. It was that hot. And then he showed me what his could do on my kitchen counter. It was incredible. Then I was sold. So at the end of the presentation, I was like, I didn't tell him, obviously, but in my mind, I'm going, damn, that's what we need to do. You know how often the sellers want to cut to the chase, tell me what it's worth, what is your commission, and out the door. In the early years, I remember running out the door and just doing just that. But I wouldn't tell my sellers what I was going to do. And then later, come to find because they didn't hire me, I was taught by my coach, I was forced really to ask the seller what it was. And then they would come back with, well, he's doing this and he's doing that. And I'm thinking, what the hell? I am doing that. Thank you. It was a show and tell. It was all about a show and tell. So this is why Debbie Galan says so bluntly. She says, a listed presentation is a marketing presentation. So putting together that little binder that has all your pieces in it, not just custom tailored to a specific client, but various things of different things that you do, so that when you walk away, you are fulfilled with. And I open it on the table. I'm on listing contract, by the way. Then I open that binder. I have it in the middle, and I show them. This is what we do. This is the e-flyer that goes to so many thousands of agents. This is the snail mail kind of flyer. This is the postcard that goes out. This is the, press telegram or LA Times, ad that goes in the paper, and all the little things, the tour factory, the professional photography. But now you're showing them, and you're showing them what other agents have done on the MLS and what you guys do. And that's important. Why? How many times have you seen those crappy iPhone pictures on videos? It's just like, we have a $600,000 listing. Why would you want to do that? You know what I mean, right? And so this is where you're setting a higher value, so that when you do get to your rate, they will challenge you on that. Go back to my story. I did challenge the guy because I felt like I was buying a freaking car, and I was like, oh my God, am I paying how much? No, so we bargained a little bit, or we bargained a lot actually, but nonetheless, we got an awesome deal. I'm very happy. It's just my place is like a freaking war zone right now, but it's awesome. It's really cool. So what I got from that was very valuable to me. So I implore you, go through an experience and see what professionals are doing, and sometimes even the little things make a big difference. But I notice that it usually comes in a big price tag, so not different than what we're talking about. Okay, sorry to derive from this. So again, you're going to deliver the value by showing them exactly what you're doing, and then this way, your consumer says, your buyer, your seller says, she's different than the last person that came to the door. And that was so true. When she said it, and when I experienced this, I had this presentation of the window guy like 2 months ago. We just had pushed it back. It's just never a good time to start demolition, I guess. But nonetheless, it was just, I was left with, that guy was different, and he was. He didn't care how pissed off I was. He still went ahead and did it. And 3 hours later, I was like, no freaking contract. I was like, oh my God, it's been so long. But I got to see the value of it. And I gotta tell you, if I didn't see the value, I would have never signed. Do you agree, right? You guys can make sense? Okay. So that means that you've delivered a great presentation. So again, leaving a consumer with saying rather, she's different than the last person that came to the door, means that you've delivered a very great presentation. Debbie says once again that the listing presentation is in fact a marketing presentation. Going back to the fact that she works with builders, and if you guys ever are touched or moved to work with builders, she emphasized this. She says, never tell a builder, I'm going to list your house. Tell a builder, I'd like to sell your house. because anybody can list your house. Anybody can list a house. It's about what you're gonna do to sell the house. Now you're gonna show them exactly what it is that you're gonna do for them. So if you think of, you know, your little guys, our humble little people, you know, the 5 to 600, the 200,000. But imagine that, you know, they have a friend or a relative or what have you. If you wow them, it's so much easier to get that referral. So she says, if the consumer hears, tell them what you're gonna tell them what you told them at least 3 times. So tell them what you tell them what you told them at least 3 times. And they hear a different thing every single time. They will, it's true. So this is what she says, tell them what you tell them what you told them at least 3 times. And in it, you're talking to them about the marketing that you're doing with them or for them. They'll hear something different every single time, and that is what they will remember you by, because of all these different things you're gonna be doing. Does that make sense? Okay. So, again, you're different than anybody else. You're leaving something different. Okay. Put the seller in the driver's seat. I know a lot of agents have I know Beth doesn't like this either, but she employs us. She says, put the sellers in the driver's seat. Explain to the seller what you're going to be doing for them. Once again, it's a business plan. Everything's strategic. You have to do a needs assessment with every one of your clients. So figure out what their needs are and how you're gonna tackle it, and then figure out the tactics, the things that you're gonna do for them. So again, consider it a business plan. Everything's strategic. Do the needs assessment, because everybody's different, everybody has different needs. Figure out what their needs are. How are you gonna tackle it? This is what you're conveying to them, and the tactics you're gonna take to do so. And these are things you need to convey to them. Okay. The 4 questions you must ask every seller, and I think I shared some of this with you guys at the meeting, but 4 questions you must ask every seller. Are they up here? Can you scroll all the way down? Or should I? Yeah, there you go. There are the 4 questions to ask every seller. Number 1, what do you know about me? What do you know about my company? She says, you know, when the client starts talking to you and they initially called you because you need to find out, you know, what do you know about me? What do you know about the company? Because if they called you because of the brand, if they called you because, you know, they know you have some affiliation with the Warren Buffett company, and a lot of people are wowed by that, depending on who your client is, of course. But most people are definitely very wowed by that. She says you must identify what it is that they know about the company. And if it was because they're calling you because of the brand, naturally, then you may not need to tell them very much, because they oftentimes already do know much about the brand, okay? But more so, if they called you because it was a referral. Say that, you know, they say, well, you know what, Charlie referred me to you. So she says, okay, so I'm curious, what did Charlie say about me? And then they might say, well, you know, Charlie said that you were very thorough and very detailed. So now your client is telling you what their expectations are. They want you to be very thorough and very detailed. But if they say something like, well, you know what, Charlie said that you made it a lot of fun. So now you need to bring levity to the table, right? Now you need to just bring more fun to the table. But she says, we don't ask enough questions. She's absolutely right. We have the answers to the questions, we just don't ask enough questions. So ask the questions, you know, so you can get more feedback from them. So ask the consumer first, what do they expect of you as a real estate professional, and then deliver it. That's good customer service. It's not based upon what our own needs are. So, what do you know about me? What do you know about the company? Number 2 is, when you first purchase your home, is it there? When you first purchase your home, why did you buy it? Now, you gotta be careful when you ask this question, of course. She says, be very careful when you ask this question. Of course, you don't want to ask everyone. Depends on the situation. You know, if someone who just recently passed, I had a couple of clients, unfortunately, whose parents had just passed. But, you know, so you have to be very sensitive to the fact. After much conversation and so forth, and after having had the listing, you know, taken and what have you, then I went in and asked. I said, you know, Dion, I said, let me ask you, they envisioned, having all the grandkids out here. We were little at the time, and my mama created the garden and all kinds of stuff. So I'm jotting all those things down. And inevitably, Debbie says, and I completely agree with that, and I've been putting a lot of this into work, you guys. If you ask the question, why did you buy this home? Why did you initially buy this home? What made you want to buy this home? You will come to find that these people are going to give you basically the marketing material to the property. They're going to write it for you. They're going to write your own MLS. And then you need to tell the consumer why it is that you're asking them. So you want to say, Mr. Seller, the reason why I'm asking you is because the very same reasons that your parents bought this home are likely the same reasons why the next buyer is going to be attracted to this home. And so we know that, but we need to put it out there. So she says, every time I ask the seller, you must let the sellers know, Mr. Seller, the very same reasons why I'm asking you this is because. This is ingenious, you're gonna love that. Number 3 is, what do you expect from me, Mr. Seller? What do you expect from me as your sales professional? Yeah. So this is where I think I confused some people last time. We provide services, and services are intangible. So we need to make the services, we need to make what we provide tangible. Does that make sense? So how do you do that? You have to always be telling your clients what it is that you're doing for them. And that then creates a greater value. And I'll tell you, I talk much about respecting your time. They respect your time. They won't call you 24 hours a day like they used to, because they know that you're working and stuff. And oftentimes you'll hear back from your clients saying, oh, but Josie, we won't check back with you again tomorrow, or we'll just wait to hear back from you. Because this is when they're now getting more comfortable and confident that you know that you're doing your stuff. But that's because you're telling them what you're doing, right? How many times have we had sellers pop up and you're very pissed off? Oh my God, oh my God, okay, here we go again. By then it's a little late. Number 4, what are 2 things, this is the one you're gonna love. What are 1 or 2 things that you would change in your home? Mr. Seller, can you tell me 1 or 2 things that you would change, that you'd like to change about your home? And then they will say, well, we would want to change this roof, it's old, it's worn down, we may have had a leak a couple of years ago, but it's been kind of dry lately, or we had a leak before, or we may change the siding, it's wearing down or rotting out. I love her answer to that. She says, well, Mr. Seller, I want to tell you that those 2 may also be the very same reasons or the very same things that we would get back from the buyers. And I love that. I put it to use today, and I'm going to give you a good example. Again, Mr. Seller, I want to tell you that those 2 things may also be the very same reasons or the very same things that we will get back from the buyers. Either conveyed to you or on an offer. Okay. To explain further, I have a listing on course. Some of you guys have done an open house on that. Okay. It's listed at $599. What is the biggest complaint we've been getting on that property?
That needs a lot of upgrade.
Right. The kitchen and the bathroom. We have a very crazy seller, creative, let me just say creative seller. It's creative. So I told Mr. Seller today, giving him feedback early this morning. And I said, Bill, I just want to call you because I want to give you some feedback. We've had so many showings, we've had so many open houses, and we've had a total of so many people walking in. I'm sorry to report, we don't have any offers. It's quiet, right? And I said, but I want to tell you, and this is important because we've talked about it. I said, I want to tell you that one of the biggest complaints that we're getting is how dysfunctional the bathroom upstairs is. And you can hear him just quiet. I can almost hear his breathing, which is very light. And I said, and the other biggest complaint that we're getting is the kitchen, right? When I took that listing, he says, Josie, I really want to do that kitchen. I said, I'm with you. I agree. That kitchen needs to be redone. We have broken tiles, some really hideous, really bad situation. That sink is rusted, right? It's bad. No matter how much you clean it, it's bad. And then you pour bleach in it, so we couldn't get rid of the smell for a while. Every time I walked in there, I got a headache. It's just really bad. Anyhow, he knew himself how bad it was. So today, I get an offer. I get a very low offer. And I tell him, I said, this is after I had given him the feedback this morning, so I get the offer. And I said, before I gave him the price, and I said, Bill, I said, these buyers really need and want to change that kitchen. I said, it's broken, the tiles are broken, and it's just, they have two little ones and they feel it's very unhealthy for the little one. They really can't really cook on that countertop. He goes, oh yeah, he says, I kind of want to change that too. But we know this isn't the time to do it, right? This is not the time to do it. And I said, in that bathroom upstairs, most people these buyers they love the property, they love the lot size, but they're also complaining that it's dysfunctional. It's a very dysfunctional bathroom. He goes, yeah. I know. I said, so, here's a great offer we got, $575 from $600,000. And they're asking for $15,000 in closing costs. And you know what he said? I didn't think we'd get an offer this high. So, more of the story. You want to remind them what it is, they told you of the things that they want to change about the home. This is after you take the listing now, right? But the minute you've taken the listing, this is the things. But you asking these questions leaves upon them a really good impression, because now you're asking things that most others didn't ask, and now you're going into details that most others didn't ask. And when you do most of what others don't do, now you leave them with a great impression. So it's all in the asking and the right questions. But I was blown away. I said, Bill, what do you think of that? He says, I didn't think we'd get offered this high. I was like,
If you were still working on it, it was a work in progress.
so it works, you guys. You got to put it to use, okay? All right, so that was number 4. I think those are great questions. Debbie goes on to say, buyers are not liars. We just don't ask enough questions. If you do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always gotten. So shake it up and do things different. This is, again, by asking questions. So, for you, I have more questions that she threw at us, which I think are brilliant. I think these were staple. Oh, guys, we need more copies. Peritos, can you make a quick one? How many people? 6, 9, 12. 12.
Okay.
Wait, no, 7. I'm sorry, I have 5. Thank you. So, I'm gonna jump into things really quick. The very first, because I just noticed my assistant stapled it, the very first when you're taking the listing presentation, if you make the family a part of your listing, okay? If it's pets, we've always had that dog here, right? Be cool. Hang on. I can tell you've been there before. Scratching at your knees, or, just like rubbing their hair all over your pants, and oh my God, the whole shebang. I love dogs, but my dogs are well behaved, I have to say. These guys are sometimes
I'm terrified of dogs.
You are.
But I went to Jaruba to show property, and the only way I was gonna show it is to go in there.
Mm.
There was a huge dog, and I had to just like take a deep breath and go in there. The dog followed me all
Oh,
the
geez.
yard, but,
Um,
so
Okay, well, there you go. See, you just gotta face your fears and go for it, huh? Okay, so she goes on to say, incorporate the kids. So she says, if they're little ones, as long as they understand, give them a listing agreement. How many of you guys heard that before? Have you guys, who's heard about the kids? Incorporate the kids into a listing agreement. I thought it was brilliant. This is not the first time I hear this, I have to tell you.
like an actual one or?
In actual, take a look at what it is. Thank you, sir. There you go.
Thank you.
Does everybody have a copy?
Yeah.
Look at how cute this thing is.
Yeah.
One, I will keep my room clean and tidy at all times, make my bed every day while our home is for sale. Wipe my feet before coming into the house so I don't track mud or dirt into the carpets. Of course, you can change this around, of course, right? Pick up my toys, books, and games after I may use them in the family room or in the basement. Put away my bikes, skateboards, items that I maybe inside or outside. I mean, I thought this was awesome. And then you give them a $25 reward card. Or whatever works. Movie ticket. Once you walk into a kid's room, you know what they like. And not jiffy, right? Who's seen this before? I was like, oh, this is awesome, I loved it. So I changed mine, I personalized it. I put all my information on the bottom, I have their signature, really neat. So you know your client before you show up to the appointment. Why not? You get the kids engaged, parents are gonna love it, you're golden.
And you get referrals from their kids because they want to tell their friends, and they used to run the parents to sell their homes. I know, two
Sounds like you've been there before. Okay, sounds good. So I thought this was pretty darn cool. So you see the questions? You see the questions behind it? Okay.
So you give the kid this listed, when you're giving a listed presentation?
Yeah, when
or-
you're done with mom and dad,
Okay.
you engage the kid or the kids.
And they feel important.
Oh, they feel very important. You know, Paul Britton, our former manager here, he used to do this with kids. He used to give the kids his business card. And he said, if you see mom and dad talking to another agent, you remind mom and dad, this is your agent. And, or if they were in school and they heard that other friends, because word gets around that they're selling their home, they would give them friends their card. Why not? Right? How cool is that? So, anyway. So, these are the questions that are movers and shakers. You know what I do? I'm sure, I don't know how you guys do this, but, make this your own. Incorporate it in whichever way. Ask it however you want to ask it. But ask it, obviously, right? In my presentation, behind my notebook, I have a few questions that I've shared in the class before. And I have the questions about, okay, so are you comfortable in working with me? Any questions about the commission? Any questions about the price? You know what I'm gonna do to get your home sold? Those kind of things. I've added a couple of these questions below. Just so that I know, I can quickly run through it, And again, this is just so that I know I don't leave any uncertainty on the table. Clear it out of the way, it's done, my clients know exactly what I'm gonna do, or a lot of what I'm gonna do. Because oftentimes they will still call you or text you next day and say, did you say you were gonna do this? Or did you mention about this? That kind of thing, especially if you wanna get done in less than an hour. But in my own listing presentation, and I don't wanna talk much about my own, but in what I do, if I may share, is I have, again, my listing plan, and in my listing plan I have all the things that are gonna be doing, the things that we talked about, the flyers, and I bullet point everything. And it's a part of it. This way they know, what is the action? Then they have very long time ago, one of the escrow officers shared with me the process of an escrow. The process of an escrow. How old is that? It's ridiculously old, but most people don't know. So you add the process of the escrow in another sheet. It's just like the family tree. It's just like, when things take place and what does loan docs mean? All that mumbo jumbo or lingo that we have that they don't know. I absolutely hate it when I hear my girls talking to a seller or a client say, oh yeah, we're ordering docs. Who are you talking to? An agent? Okay, but if you're talking to my client, they don't know what that means. What does it mean? That means that we're going through the phase of getting your final loan documents. Don't give them the same lingo because it's just like terrible, right?
Yeah.
I feel the same way when I go to a different industry, like, what does that mean?
That's
Break-
like me, I work in the dental office, it's like they don't understand the terms, you
Right.
can't do that, you gotta break it down to how they can understand it.
Exactly, and a lot of people are very super smart, but you just wanna make sure that, you're not rude to them in any way. You don't offend them or take it for granted. Okay, so, moving on. Yes, ask your clients at the end of your presentation, if you have the guts. You can do this at the end of your presentation, or you can do this at the end of the sale of the contract. But ask them, this is important. You're really gonna like this. Ask your clients at the end, why is it that you hired me, Mr. Seller? Mr. Seller, may I ask you a quick question? Why is it that you hired me? Find a thread in there, and if you don't like what it is, if you don't like what you hear, or the reason why it is that they hired you, that is if you went in there and you gave them a very low commission and that's why they hired you, because of your low commission, then you can expect that the next client or referral that they give you is gonna likely hire you because of that, right? Exactly. So, in essence, along the way, you are branding yourself with that. So find out why is it that people are hiring you, and if you don't like it, change it. Recreate your own brands, what she says. Okay, so Berkshire Hathaway is a company of companies. See all the companies that Warren Buffett is affiliated with. Do we have that? Oh, there we go. Okay. Gino before I was talking that morning about core values, she just brought that into the picture because he had just done a presentation about, the market, the core values of the company. I mean, he just basically reread Warren's whole first page of the letter to the shareholders. But nonetheless, she was just integrating the same thing. So Berkshire Hathaway is a company of companies. You must at all times know what Warren Buffett is affiliated with. Okay, so she says, always know 3 things about the company, 3 things about the local market, and 3 things about yourself. I'm missing a piece here. You must always know equal or more than the consumer does. If they know more than you do, then you're caught off guard and your confidence level just killed it. You just consider yourself dead. So if somebody called you because of the brand, if somebody called you because you're Berkshire Hathaway and we are the new biggest thing, we're next to Apple, we're number 3 in the top shares, then naturally you better know more than your consumer, equal or more, but not less, because then you're done. So, did you know that Mr. Consumer or Mrs. Consumer, did you know that 10% of consumers today buy Geico? It's a big, reputable company. Who wouldn't want to know that? And then the other thing is, what is our brand? Does anybody know what our brand is? Good to know. Good to know.
Right?
Yes, that is our brand too. Good to know. It's patent. This is our brand. This is how we market ourselves. So in anything we do, it's funny. I mean, since the day I heard it, it just stuck with me, and I always say, "Oh, good to know." And some people get it, a lot of people don't. But I'm like, "Oh, good to know." I always say, "Good to know." It's so cool. Anyhow, it's crazy. So nonetheless, those 3 things are very important. Why? Because whom your consumer is, whom your buyer is, whom your seller rather is. If they're high stock investments, if they're high stock sellers, if they are, financial advisors, if they're, more than your average individual. I have a client right now who's a controller for Bonds Credit Union. Talk about analytical. He's a serious, he's up there. He does very well. And the loan is being financed by his own company. He's actually getting a loan from his own company. They can't beat what he's getting for a loan for peanuts. But very analytical, and when I spoke with him, actually spoke with him about 5 years ago, we weren't Berkshire Hathaway just yet, we were still Prudential. So he reconnected with me. He says, "Oh, you're now Warren Buffett's company." And I said, "Well, yes, we are." And he went, "No. I was like, okay. I was like, phew. And then I realized, oh my gosh, there are some very, very savvy people in the financial industry that need to know that. Which means, it brings us up to why it is that you need to know the letter to the shareholders. Okay, so this is important. You must read letter to the shareholders. And do we have, I think she has it up here. Can you scroll down? The letter to the shareholders, and I pulled it up on the screen last time. So you must read letters to the shareholders. It's very, he simplifies it. He dummies it. He breaks it down to where we can understand it. And it's like you're having a conversation with him, or rather, he's having a conversation with you. I get a lot of it, and that impresses me because this is like too much for me. It's like reading condominium documents. The CC&Rs is like, oh my God, ever-going information. But the letter to the shareholders is awesome. It's 29 pages. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but this is what it looks like. He actually shares his performance since 1965 to what it is today, and what the stocks are worth today, and how it's changed through the years. And in this letter, positive or negative, and he's had very few incidents of those negatives, I have to say. But in these letters, I tapped a few. He goes on to saying what he expects. This is basically his expectations of the market, his projections of where we're going, his projections of every company that he owns.
That's,
Bless you. Did you know that Berkshire Hathaway owns 90% of the energy in Omaha? I mean, he practically owns the whole freaking state. That's why they probably call him the Oracle. That's why he's probably known as the Oracle of Omaha. You know, but it's just, I mean, you want to wow someone? You want to wow your investors? And you're working with a very high intellectual person that really, you know, I don't know, just like me, I'm my controller.
There's actually a documentary on HBO.
Yeah, there's actually a few. If you YouTube Warren Buffett, he has a 30-minute clip, and it's really, really neat. And I like it when it comes from him because he's so simple and very humble. And that's the thing, it is a book, it's a letter. You know, it's just a letter, and I outline a few things, what he's founding and his bets with Wall Street and how he's challenged many of their investors, you know, to practice what they preach, and none of them have done it. You know, and what they're selling to their own people. It's just really interesting. A lot of the stuff in here is it'll wow you. But it's more than that, he takes responsibility where he knows he's made a mistake, and then he corrects himself with, this is what I'm doing. You know, it's a really cool letter. It's very impressive, but more important than that, you can see how humble he is and how knowledgeable he is. And again, I love the bet that he has with the Wall Street investors. And in here he goes on to elaborate how one investor has challenged him, and it's a $500,000 bet. Yeah, I know that only one has challenged him on. But it's very, very awesome, very detailed. Yeah, $500,000, it's a hedge fund. And he goes on and talks about everything that he owns from Mexico and all the different companies. So you must know, you guys, 3 different things. This is the thing that Debbie says very clearly. You have to know very well at least 3 of the companies that are under our company. You know, at least 3 of them. And yes, you're absolutely right. You can go to, I think it's that, I prefer the YouTube one. But
That one's Becoming Warren Buffett.
say again?
Becoming Warren Buffett.
Becoming Warren Buffett, okay. So he has full ownership of Geico, Camper Chef, See's Candies, Brother, what is it? I can't pronounce this. Frischheimer? I think it's Frischheimer's companies. Benjamin and Moore, Clayton Homes. Clayton Homes owns, God knows how much of the Northeast. John's Family, which my husband had this store for like almost 27 years. He actually bought their company before he bought ours. What is it called? Dairy Queen, Fruit of the Loom, Berkshire Hathaway Energy. Again, Berkshire Hathaway Energy owns almost all of Omaha, and that's almost 90% of all the state's energy. It's huge, you guys. Heinz. What is it?
Heinz and Kraft both.
Is it Kraft? Yeah.
There's insurance as well, right?
Yeah, there's a few insurances actually. I only highlighted a few, but they're all listed in here.
I was surprised on that.
So, Ben Bridges, I don't buy any other jewelry. I told my daughter, I said, I won't buy anything because I'll go to Ben Bridges for something simple, simple. They're affordable. Anyhow, blue chips. You guys have to know at least NetJet, that's huge, My gosh, the list goes on and on and on and on about children's clothing companies and so forth. And all of that, he talks about his gains on the letters to the shareholders. And it's really cool how he addresses everybody. Very simple, very humble. And how he even opens the letter. His experiences and outcomes and what have you. So it's really neat. She says you must read the letter every year as it comes out so that you are ahead of the game and you can have a short conversation with your clients. And sometimes, even if they don't care to know, I always throw it out there. And they go, oh, that's pretty cool. I say, yeah, it's good to know, isn't it? Again, I see what you guys are so as of September 2015, in the top 5 we are in the top 5 of the United States. So of the Fortune 500 listing companies. Then is Walmart, Exxon, Chevron, Berkshire Hathaway, and Apple. Apple is falling, you guys. Apple was 1, we were 2. But now it's Walmart, ExxonMobil, you know what, dummy me, I didn't know Exxon is the same as mobile. Sorry, okay, but it's considered the same. So Walmart first, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Berkshire Hathaway, and then Apple. So tell me, this is what Debbie says, who else in your listing presentation, what other listing company can say that? So use it to your leverage, because this is why you must know at least 3 big companies. So, you know, she goes on and elaborates. If you're talking to a mom, if you're listening to a mom or a single mother or someone, you know, they may not know much about NetJets, they may not care much about, you know, the gas companies or the energies, what have you, but they may care about Dairy Queen. They may get familiarized with Rivaloo. They may find celebrities, what is the word I'm trying to say? Similarities with that. And then now you're talking their game. That's all she was saying. That was all that the presentation was about. So, and then at the very bottom, the thing that I took from it, you can't see, can you scroll all the way to the bottom? No, just go all the way to the bottom, because this is, oh yeah, right there, why you? Why you? Why should the seller hire you? You know, she says she always goes around in her classroom asking, you know, her students, can you tell me 3 things about you, other than knowing 3 things about the company? 3 things about you and why I should hire you. And then she says, you know, most of them go, I'll pass, come back to me later. And she says, really? If you are your best subject, you know, you shouldn't be really having this conversation. You need to like spring it right out and say why. So understand your client and know why you will be a good fit for them. And know why, what are your qualities? What are you doing different? You know, what stands about everybody else? And then in wrapping the whole presentation, it's about asking the questions. Just really about asking the questions. She doesn't believe in scripts. It's about having a dialogue. She says, I don't want to look like a, you know, or like a deer with a headlights on or something like that. Deer in headlights. And I'm like, okay, why do you mean that? She goes, yeah, you know, you don't want to look dumb if you just blank out. You want to have a conversation, and when you're having a dialogue with them, it's an entirely different feeling. She says, and strongly believes that a listing presentation is really about, you know, having a feeling. If your sellers are feeling you having a valuable presentation, and you're speaking with confidence, and you have all the data to back it up, who can compete with you? That's it, you guys. Just go all the way to the very, very, very bottom. She actually wrote Warren Buffett a note card when they were taken over, when you know, they went by, not states, but different offices at a time. He was acquiring different offices at a time. And when they came to acquire her office, she wrote him a card and saying, Dear Warren, you know, we hope to make you proud. Love to take you for coffee if you're ever in town, right? And that was in February. In March, she got a note card back from him. And that's it right there. And it said, what did it say? Debbie, thanks for your note. It made my day. Best regards. But what the thing is she was trying to quote out is on the top. It says, not a recent likeliness. You see the little asterisks on top? And then he says on here, for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons. Okay, so people get it, but I was like, okay, I thought it was kind of interesting. She went on talking about never having black and white pictures, never having your picture in general in your note cards or marketing material. And I don't know how I feel about that, but she says just black and white scare me. She says don't do it, don't ever do it, don't even, you know, remove it. I think that agents should remove it entirely. Just have it, you know, or if you have it, you have to consistently change it. Well, I have to admit that it's true. I haven't changed my picture in quite some time. But no, that's not the very bottom, is it?
The very bottom?
Yeah. I want to show you how it shows on the bottom. It's unfortunate we can't see it from there because on the very bottom, when you incorporate that 2.5-minute video, it's really cool because it says Forbes, the Buy Like Buffett story. You know, and you can actually just click on the video and attach it there. I don't know how my girls did it, but I'm sure you guys can do it too. I would implore you, put it in your emails, because that's where I have it. I have it on my signature on the very bottom. But I didn't realize that if you opened it from a mobile device, you couldn't see it. It's really cool when you get it from the other side, because it opens it up completely.
It looked like that.
Yeah, but it would actually have the love story, video on the bottom, and then the know your value. Right.